evening.
Nice.
All
Just
right. And we're
So,
getting together with Richard next week, right?
hey, Richard.
yeah, I've been looking forward to both of these.
It's good.
So these will be recorded. So Dinah, you'll be able to take this and use it for your own purposes. I know that you provide those with your other meditations, and so do the same.
Well,
Okay.
it looks like she requested to record it to her computer as well, so I gave her that.
You have our
I
blessing.
think
Did you do that? Okay. Is
yes,
that okay? Okay.
I accepted that. That's fine too. Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
Yeah.
yeah.
So do I need to do, okay, I have to still ask it record to this computer. Yes, that's what I want to do. All right.
Yes,
Awesome.
you can keep the same terms and conditions that you use normally with your own recordings. Okay.
What does that mean? Just so I understand.
It means you can
Terms of,
charge.
oh, no, I just put stuff up on YouTube and,
Yeah.
just if something's good or if I say something in an interesting way, I
We're
like to do
enjoying
that.
it.
I had an opportunity to listen to your Crossroads, your YouTube video on the Crossroads.
Right.
So yeah,
Here
that
we
was
are.
very good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed
Ah,
it. I got a
good.
little bit of a
Thank you.
feel for. I got a little bit of a feel for your exuberant spirit on there.
Yes. Yes, I am that, I guess. It's hard to see yourself, I
Right,
don't know, and I guess that's the whole point of have self-awareness, but I don't know how people see me. I just know how I am.
right. And yeah, and when it comes right down to it, when you're living, your best life and living an authentic life, you really what others think about you isn't your business, is it?
Exactly. Very
So,
wise, Joe.
yeah.
Were you taken aback when you first heard your voice for the first time? I know
I'm
I
so,
was on radio the first time you heard
oh,
your voice. First time you did a radio show or something, and then you listened to your own voice, from a different location, and it's like, is that how I sound?
oh my God, it's shocking.
If you put your fingers in your ears, you have a lot of noise in there, so it distorts how you really sound. You know?
Okay,
It's
I'm
so
going to
true.
disable the waiting room. People are going to start to join now because they're already some
Okay.
of them in the
Okay,
waiting room.
so I'm just going to sit quietly till you tell me when to go.
Good evening, Richard. Good to see you.
Well, Tammy is still in there. Just a second. Everybody should be able to join now.
Well, welcome, everyone.
There we go.
You see some people I know. Happy, Jeanette. Nice to see you.
You too.
So, welcome to the 16 Signs of Awakening. One of the first things we do is we light a candle for everyone that joins in. So, I'm going to light a candles for everyone here. Say
That's
hi to
so
little Joe.
nice.
Hi, Joe. Hi, Joe.
I noticed Diana likes to do that too, don't you? Or you light a candle.
I always light a candle. I'm not
Yeah.
going to tonight, though. Shall I? I can.
I'm lighting one for you.
He's got it. I think he's got it.
So
Yeah,
here's
yeah. Thank you, Timothy.
a light one. All have a presence here. Your light wall.
Tammy's ready. She's gonna light one for us.
There's one for Diana. And then Hammy, is it? Did you say?
Yeah, Tammy
And
and
for us,
Annette.
Annette, I light one for you, Annette, right here. Look at that bright flame. Oh my gosh.
We got
That's
8 of them,
Annette.
so we got 8 so far.
And who else do we have? What's your
We
name?
have Terry and Rosita. Hi, you guys.
Hi.
Is that
Aw.
your entourage, Diana?
They're definitely part of my
Yeah.
meditation groups.
There you go.
Yes.
All right.
Aw.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Blessings, everyone.
Blessings.
Aw.
We'll just continue to light the candles as they come in. I've got plenty of them here. So
One of the things I noticed, Diana, about your meditation, it seems like you introduce a little bit of astrological emphasis to your meditation, where you're I'm kind of curious about that. As far as how you feel, um, the constellations or the effect of the planetary influences on meditation, how you feel that affects that.
Oh, yeah. Well, we've been talking about that for some years now because since 2020, we've been going through some very difficult, challenging times. And when I was a kid, I learned astrology as a kid. As a child, my father was an astrologer.
Okay.
And we used to talk about, I wonder what's going to happen in 2020 through 2027. Six
Mm.
actually, 2026. And we nobody would have guessed that it would have been a virus, that sort of kicked this all off. And then everything that followed. And that we're still very much in. And I don't know, I don't rely on astrology at all, but it's another way to measure energy. My intuition is better, I think,
Okay.
than a chart.
Mhm.
But the chart is like evidence. Here it is. This is what it looks like, and I think it is reassuring in a way because this too shall pass.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of, truth to the astrological influences, but, again, depending on where you see yourself and how in tune you are with your identity, I completely agree as far as your intuitive capabilities transcend those
Yes.
influences. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Yes. And I'm
That's neat.
highly intuitive, but that's a byproduct of meditation. You just get intuitive. You become, you have extrasensory perception. It just happens naturally and organically without even trying. It just starts happening.
Another thing that you had mentioned that really you I think was a quote that you had said, when the self is divided, you cannot effectively move forward. And I thought that was very insightful, not just on a personal level, but on a collective level. Did you
Oh, yeah.
when you say that, do you see that as a collective
Yes,
self? Okay.
of course. And that's literally what's happening. And it creates a kind of chaos, right? And disturbance in the field for sure, but, chaos, out of chaos comes order eventually, but when does that happen? We're still in the hugely polarized part of all of this, but that's because there's a saying in the old teachings that says it's the definition of the bodhisattva that the Buddha cannot ascend until every being does before him or her, whatever the Buddha is, right? And
Mm.
in that way, it's such an interesting way to think of it that we're in this for the long run. And this is a big healing that's happening across the world, not just even in the US. And we can't leave people behind in a way, right? We've got to all come together, not all perfectly simultaneously, but in a movement forward, which is what I think we're at a crossroads right now, right? Which is what I was
Hmm.
talking about in that meditation.
Right, right. You were talking about the long pregnancy
Yes.
the birthing that humanity is going through as far as the transformation that's taking place.
Yes,
Which,
and
yeah.
and everybody that's born these days has the littlest, tiniest bent towards spirituality. I feel like we've all been drafted, We're here very on purpose to show up in all the different ways that we do as parents, as teachers, as friends, as politicians, as everything, that we are all in this coming down and to help this happen. So there needs to be a lot of consciousness, and there is a lot of consciousness on the planet. But of course, it's met. The yin and yang of that have to be met, and this healing is happening, and it's all because of you guys. We're it. We're the
Mhm.
ones we've been waiting for. We're
And we're and just to coin another phrase, you said something about holding for the highest good, holding space for the highest good.
yes,
That's really what we are doing, in our conscious awareness is holding space for the highest good. And I really can see how, the meditation, I think at this point in time, just, with everything that's going on, that having a meditative practice and really centering self and finding that alignment that you speak of is essential to really holding space for the highest good, for not just for ourselves, but for everyone.
Right.
So
That's right. And these are world service meditations that we're doing. I've been teaching since 1980, esoteric meditation. And it's a huge undertaking and a lifelong practice for me, too. And I feel so privileged, And I gotta say, I feel so much love coming from you. Thank you. It's feeling like coming in big swells. I feel it. Thank you. It's nice,
well,
I
like I
can,
said, I was really blessed just listening to some of your recordings and I mean resonating so much with the things you were saying and we're definitely we are of one mind in that regard, one heart, one mind. So I think that's
because we're
awesome.
tuning into the same channel, it's like
That's right.
FM radio, though, not AM. We're trying to find that exact, KGOD or KLOF or V. It's like we're tuning into a station, and there's a lot of people tuned into that station all around the planet, millions.
It's not just in your dreams, right?
Yes,
Well,
exactly.
So, favorite
that that was a radio show that she had some
Okay.
years back
How do you
in your
know that?
dreams.
That's right. I had
I
that.
did a little research.
That was my favorite thing I ever did. I would do live dream analysis on this country radio station. It was the biggest station in California. And there was like 500,000 people all the time on this station. And people would call in and say, I had a dream, and I'd have 5 minutes to hear the dream and interpret the dream. And I would
Wow.
just go into this altered state. And I could hear in their breath when they said, I dreamed of my mother. I already knew. Like, I talk about tuning in. It was so fun and interesting, and people would be sobbing, because there was so much truth in it, in these little quick connections with people intuitively like that. But it was powerful and very unlikely place. And this country
Mhm.
radio station was super conservative at the time. Just get kicked out the Dixie Chicks for being too liberal, you know.
Wow.
And I love
Wow.
the Dixie Chicks, and anyway,
And here
join,
and here you were.
yeah, an
That's
anomaly.
awesome.
join for speaking with um, Diana Lang. Uh,
Oop,
We lose you. I think we lost Timothy. Yeah,
we
for
lost
everybody that's
Timothy.
tuning in, we're speaking with Diana Lang, author of Opening to Meditation, and our
There
marrying
it
the
is.
present moment is our topic for the night, and we'll be discussing that uh, along with the Diana's book.
Thank you.
Hmm.
That's nice. That's great to see it like that. Yeah. So
little Joe.
are
Yeah,
we? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I tried to screen share and apparently it threw me off.
you locked up a little bit there. Yeah, I tried to fill
Oh,
in there for you.
okay, good.
Yeah.
We'll see if it works. Can you hear me? Can you see it?
Yep. Can hear. Yep. Now we can. Yep.
Yeah.
Here's Diana's book,
First,
Opening to Mid.
we're seeing your whole screen sometimes,
Yeah,
and it goes to this. Yeah, that's good.
yeah, bring it up. So, and it's available on Amazon. And if you tune in, we're talking about the 16 signs of awakening, specifically one, the signs is marrying the present moment or marrying the moment. So we're going to go around really quick and just say your name and then a 1 minute on what the present moment means to you. You can either mention your definition of it, a story that relates to it, something that happened to you, but you have a minute. So let's go around the the horn, and then we'll end with Diana Lang, and she can speak on marrying the moment as it applies to her book, Opening to Meditation. So, Hammy, you want to start?
Uh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I guess for me, it would be that Diana teaches that we can hold it all, and there's a lot going on in everyone's life, and mine included, and sometimes it's a little challenging to hold it all and be present and not get caught up in um, the other things, about these situations. So for me, that's what it would be, is that my goal is always to hold it all and not let it interfere with the present moment.
Yeah. That's the yoga.
Thank you.
Mm.
Yeah, it
Nice.
does interfere, doesn't it? And let me see who we have next. Joe, you want to give a little bit of 1 minute?
Wow. Sure. I mean, I guess the present moment to me, I really I look at it something as something where you're transcending time. Time is a moment. A moment, as far as being in the present moment, to me isn't being in a moment of time, but it's being in a moment where you're outside of time. It's like you time. You see everything, the perspective of not being bound by time, of your life is flowing through you. You're not living through time, but time is expressing itself. It's your way of understanding time. So the present moment, again, is not something that I'm looking at as being a moment in time. It's being a moment. It's being like you're just outside of time. You're seeing the full picture. You're like stepping back and seeing everything at one time. Anyway, that's what it means to me.
Nice.
One.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe. And I don't know all the names, so just mention your name and then give us your idea of or experience with the present moment.
It's a pop quiz.
Go ahead. Diana.
Joe.
Yeah, enlist that, please. I don't know their names. Go ahead.
This is Terry.
My name is Terry, and I'm so glad to be here. So glad to support Diana in any way, shape, or form that I can. She's wonderful. And being in the present moment, I feel like it's just opening to all possibilities, because it's being free from the past and not yet in the future, but just being here where everything is possible. And it's a it's a it's a gift, and I could relate to what you were saying. It's a place of seeing um, all the possibilities.
Mm.
It's and until we come in and call it something or name it something or put something on a list that we have to do or let a thought come in, there's just us being in an energetic state of peacefulness and harmony and all possibilities. It's a beautiful place to be.
Thank you.
Nice.
Who's next?
I will go next. I'm Annette, and I'm very new to this. I'm old to Diana, but I'm new to this. And I'm looking at it as learning.
I'd say that's a wonderful word. Because as children, when we have this present moment awareness and innocence, we're constantly learning, and we get when we slow down because we're not so much in the present moment of that. Meaning, present moment of not saying, oh, I know what that is, therefore I have nothing to learn about it. But what is that? Like a child, what is that? What is that? Remember that one? I don't know if you have any.
What's that? Yes, my
What's
daughter.
that?
That's present moment. They don't know
Yeah.
what it is, or they're interfacing with it. They're touching it. They're feeling it. They're, if it's a tree, they're hugging it. And that's present moment awareness. That's what it feels like. It's when the mind is not engaged in terms of thinking and knows what things are, because it really doesn't in the new moment. Everything is brand new.
I once said to my daughter, don't just touch with your eyes. And we're in a fancy store, and she put her eye on the whatever she wanted to touch. So
That's a wonderful saying. I love that. Touch with your eye. No, don't grab.
so kind of like see what you're looking at.
Fantastic. Okay. Thank you for that learning.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, next, say your name and then give us a little bit on your present moments.
Is Richard going to talk here?
All right, I'll just add to it until someone else comes in. Present moment. So I'm just going to keep on adding to where we were. So there's a lot of I feel a lot of subconscious thoughts that go unrecognized. For instance, when you see a tree, in come all your knowns as to what a tree is. Tree has shade, it has leaves, it has chlorophyll, it has bark and roots. Oak trees have acorns, and these are subconscious, kind of like a film that runs through your mind as soon as you say tree, your knowns, and you don't even know you're having all these other subconscious thoughts about the tree, but they're making claim to what you see in that moment. It's kind of like a projector. Your mind is a projector. Projectors running through, and all these frames are running through when you say tree, just because of what you've known, what you've learned about a tree, and therefore you're really never looking at the tree. You're looking inside your mind. You're inside your head with all these knowns of what a tree is. So you're not even in your life at all. You're not in the present moment. You're in your head, and for the most part, a large marginal percentage of the population are walking around in their head, more so than in the present moment or in their lives. Mm-hmm. A story example that comes to mind, it's a true story. When I was in North Carolina, I came out at 1 a.m. To the beach, and there was a woman. Her name was Linda. She was rocking on the beach crying. I said, hey, my name's Timothy. Is there a way I can help you? She said no. She was embarrassed because I saw her crying. I said, well, I'll be walking down collecting some seashells. If you want to join me, feel free. So I do, and it's not long. I hear her running up behind me, and she's next to me, and she starts telling me about her a divorce she's going through with her husband and various things, and she's talking about it for at least 30 minutes, no less, and would have been a mile down the beach. And finally she stopped, and she said she had heard about this thing called present moment. Do you know anything about it? And I go, actually, I do. For the last 30 minutes, you weren't there. You were with your husband, not with me, basically. And she goes, oh, I always fail at this. I don't, And she said, can you help me with the present moment? And I go, well, I said, I think I can. I said, I said, turn around, and we turn around. And I said, do you look back to see all your footsteps? And she goes, yes. In the sand, you could see the impressions. I said, I want you to tell me how many footsteps you felt the sand beneath your feet as we were walking. Actually, it was 0. So she falls down on the ground. She starts crying. She goes, I'm so bad at this. I'm so bad. Please help me. And I said, do you really want to know what the present moment feels like? And she said, yes. I said, are you sure? And she said, yes. So I pick her up and I throw her in the ocean. True story. I toss her in the ocean. And she goes down and she comes up. Oh, she is mad as a hornet. Why would you do that? Why in the world? I'm just standing on the beach smiling. And she's, why are you smiling? Because I see this wave behind her that is coming like a Poseidon. It is so huge. And I'm like, the universe is taking over from here. I don't need to say anything else. And it hits her from behind and takes her down again, down underneath the water. She comes up, and this time she's crying, and she's smacking the water and saying, I don't. And then as she's smacking the water, all frustrated, mad, she starts going to the present moment. She starts feeling the water and the smack on the water. I get it. I get it. Oh my gosh, I get it. I'm there. Like, yes, you are. And so that's a nice little story that what does present moment appear as? What does it look like when you enter into it? So she was in her head all the time. She moved out of her head into the present moment. So at first she didn't know what was happening, which is normally the case. You don't know what's going on. She didn't. And then, you're present with whatever your surroundings, without labels, without names. So anyway.
This is the difference between the masculine and the feminine teaching styles.
Oh.
I'm kidding, it's easy.
It was there. There. That's another, when even in teaching, I know some people that use the moment. Whatever in the moment is there available to you. You don't need to search for something educational tool outside of your location and what's right in front of you. And the ocean was right there. It was in.
Yeah, no, it was a perfect teaching.
So I didn't know I was going to do that. Oh, I didn't even know that, but it was there. I was like, okay, here we go.
Yeah. You use what you have, what you've got. That's perfect.
Well, with a big ocean, why not? It's so beautiful. We weren't even looking at it. So yeah, it was great. So Richard, we're going around and mentioning our names and then what present moment means to us. So you want to?
I'm Richard Grossman. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Oh, good. I forgot to turn my microphone on before. I'm Richard Grossman, and if I think about the present moment, I'm no longer in the present moment. So I need to not think about the present moment, but to communicate the present moment, I'll quote a song that I sing, which is called Yaren Din, which is a Quechua word for the exact moment of now. And basically it goes, in the exact moment now, there is healing, there's miracle, there's love, there is light, there is peace, there is consciousness. And that exists in the present moment. And once I start thinking about it, I'm no longer in the present moment.
Mm.
So to me, it's that place of being able to observe my both inner and outer world from the vantage point of stillness and lack of expectations and lack of demands, and most importantly, lack of judgment. Because judgment is the instantaneous route out of the present moment into the machinations and confusion of the mental states that we get ourselves involved in.
What's the meaning?
So,
what's the meaning? What's your definition of judgments? So we know.
judgment?
Yeah. What's
You
your
got to
meaning?
come. You got to come next week to hear me talk.
Okay.
That was a great plug. Great plug.
This is Diana's talk, not mine. I could go on for hours. I mean, anybody who knows me knows that I have no trouble talking.
Thank you, Richard. Does anyone
Thank
else
you.
add our round table before we go into?
I'm going to turn my video off. I'm still present, but I just can't keep looking at the screen anymore. It's been too many screen time today. So
Okay.
I'll see you.
Right. So does anyone want to add to our roundtable of present moment before we go deep dive in with Diana? All right, then. So we're talking with Diana Lang, Opening to Meditation. It's her book. It's available on Amazon. It's a great read. Please check it out. And hi, Diana. I'm so glad you joined us for 16 Signs of Awakening, and we're covering marrying the present moment. So we want to hear your thoughts on the present moment as it relates to marrying it, what that might mean, and as it applies to your book. So I think I heard you say that the present moment's meditation helps us, which is your book, get further into the present moment. So if you could start on that, that would be great.
Yeah, thank you, Timothy and Joe. Yeah, so I thought a lot about this before I got here today about how I wanted to present this. I am actually a minister and I do marry people. And it is a truly sacred covenant. I've married, I don't know, 45 people, 45 couples, I mean, over the years. And I am a diehard romantic. And I have Venus rising, Venus is
Mm,
on my sleeve, heart is on my sleeve. So it's sort of one of my favorite subjects, of course, of what is true love, right? What is love? What is true love? I talk about it all the time in my classes and in my meditations about capital L love, which is in not the personal love of I love you, I hate you. It's that love, that heart chakra, right? That goes from aspirational solar plexus that rises to the heart chakra, which is kind of impersonal, and the good of all and the highest good and all of those kinds of ideas. And so I love the idea of this and this kind of making a covenant, a sacred contract with yourself in a way, marrying the moment is a constant choice in a way to be present to the now, whatever's in your now, like the ocean, right? Whatever it
mm,
is, that's your now. So that's such a great teaching story, actually. But somewhere along the way, when I was struggling and trying to find myself, one of my teachers said to me, he said, Dinah, it's time to marry yourself, you know? And
mm,
it was such an interesting, different way of looking at things, the idea of making that commitment to my own self that I was of value because I was such an empath and I'm such a sensitive, right? I've always been, I don't think of myself. It's really hard for me to think what I want or how I want something to go. Like I don't put design in my life or on other people. I have zero expectations, which is a kind of a little advantage I have in spirituality because
mm,
that's something you aspire to, but I kind of had that. And that comes from my childhood and things like that, of course, too, and probably before that, right? That whatever practices over the many lifetimes we have, we kind of bring all that in with us. And then our lives, whatever we end up with our parents and the families we grew up in and the place that we grew up in, is part of the design of the soul that gives you the opportunities and the perfect circumstances to extrude the best of us from us, right? That's our opportunity. So to me, what this is about is I talk about it a lot of the idea of the soul with the self. And I go like this, the soul with the self. And
mm,
the soul with the self, it's a through line. So if you look through the soul with the self, there's a connection that light can move through, soul light to self persona light, so that the self becomes infused with the light of the soul, right?
mm,
So how do you do that? And from all my yoga teachings for many years too, there's old teachings in the old sutras say that the only reason we even do yoga and pranayama and meditation practice and breathing practices and all of that is so that the body self can hold more light.
mm,
It's the only reason. So so it's such an interesting, and I remember reading that and underlining, going, that is true. Because when we have pain, when we have addiction, when we have guilt, when we, stick in whatever the subject is, that's a leak. It's a leak of light, right? And so one of the big meditation practices that I still teach, but I taught for many years straight, was the mantra that says, I deeply and completely accept myself as I am now. So there's
mm,
not any expectation of when I get the degree or when I make the money or when I get married or, all of these things that we put as expectations. But right now, like I am. And of course, that came like a thud in the room when I would be teaching it, right? Because it was so rejected so instantly because we don't deeply and completely accept ourselves as we are now.
mm,
We don't. And so it's a practice. So you keep, you learn to just run it. You run it like Ho'oponopono, right? It becomes this medicine, right, of words, because words have vibration. Everything's vibration. Everything is energy. So when you run an energy like that, you're teaching past the mind. And that's why a lot of times in like TM or different teachings, they don't even use words like, well, we don't know what their words mean, and usually some people do, but mostly we don't. We're just saying a mantra that is a sound, right? But the sound is a teaching in its own right. It's a thing and it's given to you. And so you take this sound vibration and you take it like medicine, right? To heal the self, to connect the soul with the self. And my other, so marrying yourself is, can you say I do to you? You know, it's like, can you give yourself that? Can you be present to yourself like that? Can you be, because as we're in pain, and we're going back to the leaks idea, there becomes distortion in the way that the light moves from the soul to the self. It like bends the light, right? It bends it into the like, but think of it like bending like a, a prism with light. It bends green, it bends blue, it bends violet, right? It can bend any way, but it's not that clear white light, right, that can move through us. And we're trying to create an alignment is what we mostly call it in meditation practices. And it's kind of the most valuable thing that you have. At least to me, if I could lose my arms and legs, I don't want to lose my alignment. That to me
Mhm.
feels like something. That's the thing that I've built and sustainably have a relationship. And there's the new word, then adding relationship between the soul with the self. The soul and the self together is a relationship. And this is a very feminine perspective because, I teach a lot of classes for the divine feminine and like how do you develop the divine feminine? It's really interesting, but some of that came out of a response to all the teachings that are out there, almost all of them, especially up till about, well, 2000, all those meditations were designed for men. Women weren't allowed to be and do yoga until like 1960, 1950. They were not allowed to be in ashrams. They were not. So the teachings that were given to men. So I think it's really interesting to think, well, what is the feminine relationship with meditation too? And the masculine, we know that one is that big silence, right? You stand in the silence, you stand in the depth, you stand as the witness, the observer. But the feminine aspect, and they both have to be there, is relational, you know, body with the earth, right? Mother Nature. These powerful things of what we need right now on our planet so much is the divine feminine more, right? And the feminine in the masculine, right? We have all have feminine and masculine within us. And to honor that way as a another way of relating to not my way or the highway. There's only one way to meditate. It's not true. There's thousands, there's uncountable ways of meditating. And so when I, in my book, in talking about meditation, I'm really talking about that all the way through it, that there's no one right way. You have to follow that energy within yourself that can lead you there. And of course, help helps. I mean, I've had teachers, many of us have had, and to this day, every single teacher that's come in on my path, I am so grateful for because they came right at the right time in my life, at the right time in my experience to have that teaching, which then also would include like my father, right, or my mother were my first teachers. And I really look at it like and I do that, namaste, that honoring of the parent, right, was our first hit, even if it was difficult. And that's another teaching in its own right. So one of the concepts that I talk about a lot is soul with self. And so if that could come back to me, I want to show something for a moment if I
Did you
can.
say soulless self?
Soul with.
Oh, soul with. I was
Yeah, not less.
okay. Thank you for clarifying. Thank you. All
Yeah.
right.
Can the screen come back to me, Timothy? Or I don't know. It's just on the book right now.
Oh, it's just in my block. Is it the whole screen?
I don't know. It's
Yeah.
on mine. Ah, thank
Oh,
you.
okay. Who's
So
Lang?
one of the ways I teach about the
Oh,
soul with the self is that the persona, our personality, is like a wild horse. And another way you can talk about that is that if the persona is the wild horse, this gorgeous stallion or this gorgeous mare, right, that is very capable and strong, it still needs a rider. And the rider is consciousness. Our consciousness rides the horse together so that it's not just random, it's not just chaos. There's a direction. And so that's the relationship with soul with self. When we are, you know how you hear that term sometimes, lost souls, right? That
Mm.
person's a lost soul. It's really not a lost soul. Of course they have a soul, but there is a disconnect, perhaps it may be what we're responding to. And what we're feeling is this sort of like, uh, rainless horse. It's just going off, it's eating grass. It's doing whatever it wants to do, but it might not be in its own best interest, might walk off the cliff too. And
Mm.
so one of the ways I talk about that is magnetic attraction, that there's a relationship between the soul and the self that is unbreakable. However, it can seem like there is no connection between the soul and the self when we're in that lost state, or if there's so much distress, or so much pain, or so much fear, or so much ego, even, right? Can go in a positive way too. You think of people that we know that sort of live there, and they're sort of lost souls too, in a way. But the great thing about the soul is in meditation deep, and it's always present all the time. It never leaves us, it's always there. It's more for us to recognize it. And so what we end up doing sometimes is we start to feel this disconnect. And so the soul is here shining, but the self is going, I'm going to do it my way, and I'm going to do it without that direction and no reins and no rider. I'm going to do it my way. And it can go farther and farther and farther and farther and farther and farther away from the soul's light, even though it's still completely there. And it can feel, this one feels very alone. And there's nothing, there's no God, there's no light, there's no consciousness, there's no purpose, there's no reason, nothing means anything. And this person, when they're living out here, can feel really lost. But the great thing about the soul and the self is, as there, for any reason that the persona starts to come back, there is a magnetic attraction to coming to that connection, because it is. There is no way to separate that. It's just the distance can give you the illusion of separation, but there is no separation ever, actually. And so
Mm.
my little model of that is that there's the soul and the self, and the soul and the self, when they're near enough, they connect, right? They snap to, practically, right? They snap to. These are magnets.
Mm.
And but when you're here, and this is the persona and this is the soul, let's say, it, I can't feel the connection between these two magnets at all at this point. But as I come in, and let's say I get on the same page and I read that book, or I go to that meditation or something, I start to feel this pull because I'm close enough, to get to it. I can feel something, and I'm feeling it right here. I can feel the pull of these two magnets together. They wouldn't jump to each other quite here yet, but they almost could. And as I get closer and closer, there's a point where they would literally just pop, right? They just pop over. And that is something that's guaranteed. So all we have to do really is to get on the right page, in a way, to get close enough that we can remember ourself, capital S, self, soul with self, and that relationship. And in my experience as a teacher of meditation and in my own personal meditations, I mean, I really am talking and having kind of a psychic or spiritual dialogue all the time in between, inside the meditations. And of course, the meditation is what happens almost between the thoughts, right? It's not that thoughts are almost rebuilding our reality over and over again, right? And I think it was Terry that said this, or Tammy, I can't remember which one of you said it, but anything can be. Anything can be anytime, but we keep recreating our reality the way we know it to be. And so it keeps showing up again. And I call that putting the past into the present. So our present is our point of power. And that's old Louise Hay teaching, right? That she was one of the first teachers that really pounded that one in. And it was it's a fact. your point of power is in the moment. Anything can happen in
That's
this
right.
moment, right here, right now, like getting
Mhm.
thrown in the ocean and the shock of that, right? Snapped her out of something, brought her into a kind of reality. That our point of power is in the moment, but we're so mostly in the past and mostly in the future, or oscillating back and forth between the two, and we keep bringing our old past beliefs and experiences, and we go flunk, like Timothy's story. For a half an hour you've been not here, right? She's telling this story. So what happens is we say, why does this keep happening to me? And I would say, well, because how else, what else could possibly happen, right? Except that, because we're literally putting the past into our present, and our present, and this is mind-blowing and wonderful, and you probably know this, but it's good to hear again. The present is creating the future. So if I've
Mhm.
got my past in the present, and my present is the past,
Right.
then my future is also the past.
Right. Just we're creating more of the same. Yep.
Exactly. So it's pretty amazing when you think about it. And so somehow we have to create this I do, this yes to our relationship with our inner life, our inner knowing, our insight, which is not our thinking. It's not our great ideas. Our great ideas are, and I'm clever that way. I have a lot of great ideas, but I also say all the time, I don't really care what I think, right? I care what I know. And that knowing comes from my direct alignment, vertical, not horizontal. Then I apply that vertical knowing out. And all of our intuition is in that presence. You cannot be intuitive and be afraid at the same time. You cannot be intuitive and be angry at the same time. You can't be
Mm.
in some reaction of the emotions and be intuitive. So you're always clearing the field, clearing the field, clearing the field. Well, that's what meditation does. You're constantly kind of clearing the energy of all the past and all our expectations of the future. And I should have this, and why didn't I do that? And how come this is happening? All these thoughts that we're having all the time keep creating our kind of fixed present. And so we keep re-experiencing sort of the same things over and over again. And I would say that's not a bad thing either. That's just life, right? That those opportunities to re-experience another relationship like that, right, is just we're not done yet. It's still the subject is up. It's still our next step spiritually, and you cannot skip steps spiritually. It's impossible. It's impossible. And you can try to avoid a step for your whole life. And guess what? On the next one, you pick up right where you left off. So it doesn't even matter. There's nothing to avoid. There's nothing. And so we do avoid, of course, because we think we can't do it, or it's too hard, or it hurts too much, or whatever we think. But our next step's still our next step. And when we're in the present moment, you can start to glean, not think, glean, know by insight where to move. And you don't need to know 20 steps ahead, because that's 20 steps ahead. All you need to know is this next motion, this next breath, this next word. What I'm doing right now is all in that fashion. I'm speaking in the moment extemporaneously. I don't have a thing that I'm trying to drill into. I'm really responding to you all. Right. And it's like, and then this is see, so we're having a relationship on the horizontal because of my relationship on the vertical. So every time we meditate, we're strengthening that muscle and getting better and better at, holding that place and having self-awareness, which is not self-thinking. It's self-awareness, which is very different. And you don't get all into that, but you can kind of
Mm.
sense that. And I'll sort of add this another one more thought, and that is this new teaching I've been saying lately, which is the ego is a closed and fixed system. And I actually have a picture. I'm going to
Mm.
show it. Let me see if I can. I made a little thing of it. I don't know if it'll show. Do you
Yep.
see that?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So, and I put it in the box, right, to show the box that this is the ego is within that box, right? And it just makes the point. But the idea is The ego is a fixed and closed system. So what this cube of ourself and my life and who I am and how many years old I am and where I come from and my people and my religion and my spirituality and my not spirituality or whatever I've stuck in that box. What happens is that the ego is in that box and the ego asks the question, what should I do with my life? And the ego answers the question.
Hmm.
And so what happens is we're still in the box. And when you meditate, the box just falls off, right? You're not identified to your age. You're not identified to your name. You're not identified to your country. You're just a, a being.
Mm.
And we're all interconnected. And then we realize that we can't hurt anyone because in hurting someone, you're hurting yourself. And that becomes very real when you're in a spiritual perspective. You know, a lot of people wouldn't know what I was talking about on this way, but I know all of you do. I mean, you can feel that is so. You cannot do harm because you wouldn't want to harm the whole, the all, and
Mm.
yourself. It's the one and the same. So by this love, because marriage is about love, right? And now capital M marriage, what are we marrying here? You know, marriage is about love and capital L love. How do we choose and say I do to that, to marry the moment by that becomes the practice, right? The practice is being in the moment, with this, not thinking like you know how if you're having coffee with a friend or something, you can be going, okay, when they finish talking, I'm going to say this, you know, we're
Mm.
sort of like not really being with exactly. And then it goes back to Timothy's story again, you know, that shock of that was, he was intuitive. He was feeling this person needs this, you know, and that that was an intuitive, not thought out thing. He just did it, right? And so that's, you know, in a radical way in that story, but in a simple way of having coffee with a friend, can we just show up and hear them? And how we hear can be a healing in its own right without any words because they already know their own answers anyhow. They can't get to them
Mm.
sometimes because of that distance. They can't get back there, you know. So when you hold with someone and you just listen, right? They find their way back. They come back, soul with self, just by your presence, by being present. That's a
Okay.
good place to stop. I could go on, of course, but we were talking about maybe having questions and doing them. We're going to do a little short meditation too.
Yes. Well, we're
Yeah.
speaking with Lang, opening to meditation. She's talking about the marrying the present moment, and she's just informed us that it is contractual almost, and that it's a daily thing when we alter with the present moment, right? And she just informed us that it's letting go of the future and the past, even if the moment was a moment ago, like a minute ago, or even a nanosecond ago. It's letting go of that as well. And to the
Just,
world,
just,
that might
just hearing somebody call your name snaps you out of the present, you know, let
Mm.
alone talking, you know, as soon as, you know, but it's power too. Your name is power, right? So if I say Timothy, you know, boom, boom, you know, he comes into a presence in a way, but it also kind of snaps us out of something too, you know, so all those ways we identify, right? Not to say you shouldn't, you know, I am a teacher. I guess I'm not, but I'm not attached to that, right? If I were, it'd be my ego then trying to help the people that don't understand or, you know, all that stuff that I just hate and I don't feel that way about it. I feel like we all already know.
Mm. Mm.
and being fully in the present moment may not look real or right to the world. I can have an example of that. I know someone was in a community gathering, and he was teaching, and he was talking about the moment, and another student had said, well, there's too many cats on the property and it's causing a problem. So the teacher said, okay, from now on, no more cats allowed on the property. But wouldn't you know it, about 20 minutes later, this woman walks in, this is a true story, with a tabby cat, an orange tabby. And she goes, oh my gosh, he's so cute. Now, she wasn't there for the meeting. She goes, can we keep him? And he goes, from now on, cats are allowed on the property. And everyone just went up in arms. And, what are you talking about? You're contradicting yourself. He wasn't contradicting himself. He was being ruthless with himself in staying in the present moment, which to the world may look like a contradiction, but to him it was process. He was moving from one moment, nanosecond to the next, staying in the moment, not relying on his past moment, which was you can't have cats. Which he would have been he would have brought that in. I'm sorry, you got to take the cat. We've already decided you can't have a cat. That's stepping out of the present moment for him.
Right, right. Great example. And again, another shocking teaching. You have the shamanic power.
Ryan, did I throw a cat in the ocean? No. That was
I would have taken and given her a blessing and from the water. But it's the feminine and the masculine. They're going to do it different, and they should, as it should be, right, Timothy?
yeah. And that brings up a question since we're entering the question Q&A at part of our portion here. I mean, it is sometimes if you're inside with all these programs running and you're clinging to them, and that's the way you've been living for so long. Wow, it may take something shocking to pull you out of that, a third force, to get you to consider something else that you've been missing, or as Amy said, haven't put your eyes on. It may take something, shocking or hefty. If a bowling ball is going towards pins, it takes a pretty hard, large third force to move it in a different direction.
Right. And that's what life does, right? The shocks of our life, divorces and losses, and those are all like nature's way, of teaching those big lessons where it's got our attention big,
So the question is, I guess would be, Diana, tell us how we can this word stabilize in the present moment. When you wake up in the morning.
Yeah. Well, I mean, gee, there's 1,000 things to say to that. And you've heard all the practices that are out there. There's thousands and thousands of practices. But I think the basic idea of just becoming present by saying, I am being present. One of the biggest teachings I developed last year, and this sounds so obvious, but I started saying this in my classes when we would meditate together. I would say, inside the meditation, I'd say, I am meditating. And man, you could feel the room go whoosh. Like it was like owning it, because I'm trying to meditate. I'm trying to get it right. Boy, am I distracted. Boy, what's over there? We get thrown off. And then you're saying, no, I am meditating. So I am present. And another way to do that sort of non-verbally is to take a conscious breath. And I have lots and lots of teachings about how to do that, like when and how and what is a conscious breath, and the super mundane breath they call it in esoterics, that consciousness that just says I am, that I am.
Love it.
Welcome silence after that one. Wow, that just closed everyone's mind.
Yeah,
Does anyone else have a question for Diana? Well, Diana, it looks like you answered everyone's question. You were very thorough.
I am. And I, all my life, I've been teaching for a long time, and hardly anybody ever has a question. I think that I say a lot, and there's so much to think about, feel about, and I call it steeping tea, letting it just get the tea bag go in the water and see what sticks and see what feels true to you, because you have to follow yourself. You have to follow not your mind again, but your knowing. And what's true will ring true. Literally has a ring to it, has a light to it that is undeniable. And things will stick without almost any effort when it's true. So when the timing is right, it just goes click, click, right? It's soul with self kind of moments. So there's nothing, really, and that goes back to my basic philosophies that everybody knows everything. But we can be far away from home sometimes. And that's where we have the intervention, right? That's where the teacher comes in and says something, or the book gets read, or you get thrown in the ocean, whatever it is, right? We have that moment of clarity all of a sudden, and enlightenment. And my favorite saying is, that I say a lot is self-realization, which is our goal or nirvana, right? To become enlightened. Self-realization is realizing the self. And then that goes back to my opening comments of I deeply and completely accept myself as I am now. And when you can say that and have some real resonance with that, you can deeply and completely accept anybody as they are.
Mm.
But you can't do that with skipping around it. You can't go to, oh, I love everybody and but I don't love me. It has to be here. And when that's true, people sense that it's real. It's not words. It's not just something you're plunking on somebody because it's the nice thing to do or be. You're not being nice. It's real recognition, soul recognition, which is what namaste means. The soul in me recognize that same soul that is within you,
Mm.
you know.
Mhm.
Well, we're reaching part of the program where we go into a meditation. Imagine
Cool.
that. Diana Lang's written the book Open Meditation. We're talking about marrying the present moment. And it would make sense that there weren't a lot of questions because questions don't exist in the present moment, I don't think. If you're saying, let it be what it is, whatever it is, a question would.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that you brought us into such a present moment that we were all very much in that time, not needing, letting
That's
anything be.
good.
So I like
Well,
that.
that's called state training. And I'm a state training teacher. That's what I do is I create state. And in my meditations, if you listen to them, I've got a million of them on SoundCloud and YouTube and everything. I am truly teaching people how to align with heart chakra, how to align
Mm.
with head center, that it's not a thinking, it's a being. And once you've done that, you can recognize it in all the shapes and forms that it comes in, from music to art to people to concepts and ideas and inventions and creations, because everything has energy. And you start to be able to recognize energy that is like, right? Heart
Mm.
centered versus solar plexus centered, very different teachings,
Mhm.
you know.
All right. Diana's
Yeah.
going to do meditation. So let me
Okay.
dim the light, which I don't really do. I usually blow out all these candles, except for one, signifying
Except for one,
our
Because
union.
we're one.
because we're one. That's right.
And that goes back to the very beginning where we said, the collective body meditates. And there's also a passage, flesh cannot enter the kingdom of God, meaning our perception of separation, being separate, cannot enter a kingdom where everything is one. We can't see that. We can't see the oneness of it when we perceive separation, so we can't enter into it. So that's very innocent scripture which refers to that.
Yes.
Anyway, I
Lovely.
will turn
Yes,
this
that's
out.
good.
The one candle, and Diana, the room of one is yours.
Good. Okay.
Mm.
Take a breath and land into your body. Use your breath to organize the self into this time and space. Feeling all the tension of the day and of the moment fall away. Just let it fall away. Easy. And as you do, within that, at the center of that, is pure awareness through the lens of this life, through the colors and light of your name and who you are. And then you let that fall away too. To just be in that light. And as you gently recognize that there is light within us all the time, in the moment that you recognize that you are on the same wavelength, the same energy stream, the same alignment as the soul. And so as you take your seat, just bring your awareness up into the head center, not into the brain, but into the head center, which is called the cave. In the moment that you take your place here, the crown chakra opens and you can become aware of the overlighting presence of the soul. And so, in honor of this conversation tonight and in this meditation now, you say this mantra gently as a recognition, as a truth. I and the soul are one. Om. If this is the first time you've ever done this, it can feel like coming home. I and the soul are one. Om. And you make that connection that the soul and the self are one. And sometimes it can even bring tears because maybe we've been away for a while, sometimes a long while. And it doesn't matter because there is no time, this life, last lives. It's all happening in a continuum. And so in this moment, I remember who I am at the level of the soul. And just let that ring through your awareness, being present, letting yourself be light infused, light imbued. I remember who I am. And this big M, A-M, I am. And all of this is perfect. And I'm right where I'm supposed to be. Right here, right now. Just like this. And I am meditating. And just let yourself linger for a few moments in this light. In this awareness. In this perfect stillness. Nothing to do. Nowhere to go. Nothing to fix. Just pure awareness. Soul with self. And let this alignment stay with you as a place you recognize forevermore. As a place you know by heart. Because you felt it. And you remembered it. And so be it. And then letting your breath get deeper and fuller. Gently circulating this awareness throughout all the systems in all the bodies, from physical to etheric, until it starts to feel natural to transition out of this meditation when you're ready to. Good. Thank you.
You.
Thank you. Yeah.
Powerful, yeah? Felt it. Yeah. So
Outside the box meditation.
Definitely. And when you heal yourself, you heal the world, you know? It's all interconnected. And every tiny, it can seem minuscule step that we make, which of course in our own frame will say, oh, that was nothing. It changes the world.
Yeah.
It changes what happens. You know, it changes your experience and it changes everyone else's experience. Just even in your own room and not talking to anybody. Those are the guys, those guys that live in the mountains and the ashrams, right? They're just meditating. They're just holding for the highest for all of us. It becomes this gift. Your awareness becomes a gift. Is a gift. Yeah, thank you. Ah.
Thank you so much, Diana. That was lovely.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. It's powerful, you know. We can change the world. Us are just us, you know. Where two or more are gathered. It really is simple in some ways, but it's a pure heart, right? Pure awareness. And then from that comes plans and things and doings and you know, but it comes from the inside out, you know.
And in line with our talk tonight, where two or more are gathered up. So we gathered each other up in his nature, which is the one. There, the one is in our midst. So very well done, Diana. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Timothy.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it was nice, you know, to hear from everybody to start. I don't usually do that, and it was really, really beautiful to hear everybody's voice. Really appreciated that.
Everyone's sending hearts.
Yeah, it's so good.
Thank you. Have a wonderful night.
Bye.
Thank
Diana.
you.
Thank you. Thanks,
Okay,
everyone.
thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thanks, Diana.
Love you all. Love to
Bye.
all.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.
You.
Bye.